Welcome back. So today we're diving into a question that on the surface sounds super simple. The kind of thing you might ask a kid. But wow, the answer, it just blows the lid off some of the deepest questions about who, and maybe even what, we really are. So let's just get right to it. If your parents had never, ever met, would you still exist? Just take a second and think about that. What's your immediate gut reaction? Because it turns out whatever answer you just came up with says a lot about what you believe about your own identity. All right, let's break this down. You can pretty much split the answers into two big camps. First up, you've got material existence. This is the idea that you are just that 1 in a billion combination of your parents' DNA. If they don't meet, you don't happen. End of story. What you look like, your physical self, that's who you are. But then there's the other side, essential existence. This belief says there's a core you, call it a soul, a consciousness, whatever, that exists on its own, and it used your parents as a vehicle to get here. And, there's a pretty compelling argument for this second idea. Just think about identical twins. They have the exact same DNA, the same material existence, right? But it is so common for them to have completely different personalities, different characters, even from when they're really little. That really suggests that who we are is, well, it's something way deeper than just our physical blueprint. So if we run with that idea for a second, if we entertain this possibility that an essential you is out there, waiting, then the whole game changes. The question isn't if you would exist anymore. The real question becomes, how would you have come into being? The whole mystery shifts from identity to the actual mechanics of creation. And that leads us straight to this. If a potential life, an essential you, is waiting to be born, then the attraction between two people becomes this incredibly important thing. It's basically the engine that starts creation. But what is it really? I mean, do your parents, or any two people for that matter, do they consciously control that feeling? Do they just sit down and logically choose to be attracted to someone? Or is it something that just sort of happens to them? And, okay, this is where it gets a little wild. What if the people involved, what if they aren't in the driver's seat at all? What if that potential life, that essential you that's waiting to be born, is actually the one pulling the strings, making them feel that attraction, all so it can bring itself into existence? It's a crazy thought, right? But it totally flips our whole idea of who's in charge. And this whole idea perfectly tees up a much bigger, much more personal question. Forget controlling other people for a second. How much control do we really have over ourselves? I mean, we all walk around saying, my body, like we own it. But is that even true? Is it really ours? Well, to figure that out, we need to get clear on what ownership even means. By definition, it's about having, possessing, or, and this is the key word, controlling something. Think about it. If you own a car, you control when it starts, where it goes, and you know its history. The same rules should apply to anything we call mine. So let's put this idea of ownership to the test using 3 simple criteria. 1, can you control it? 2, can you predict what it's going to do? And 3, do you remember its inner workings? If you can't say yes to these 3 things, can you really truly say you own it? And here's the shocker. When you apply that test to the phrase, my body, you get a pretty stunning answer. By this definition, your body isn't actually yours. Just think about it for a second. Do you control your heartbeat? What about your digestion? Can you consciously tell your cells to divide? Can you predict when you're going to catch a cold? No way. The body is this incredibly complex, autonomous machine that we just happen to live in. We don't really use it. It's more like it uses us to keep itself going. It's kind of crazy, but when you really boil it all down, the stuff we have direct, conscious command over is incredibly limited. We're basically talking about just 2 things. We can decide to move our arms and legs, and we can decide what to think about. That is pretty much it. Everything else, all the really important stuff that keeps us alive, just runs on its own. So, okay, if we can't really claim ownership of our bodies, is there anything left that we can call our own? This brings us to the one thing we feel like we really are in charge of, our mind. And if you look at this table here, you can see the mind actually holds up way better against our 3 criteria. Control? Yeah, for the most part, we choose our thoughts. Prediction? We can predict where a train of thought is going. And memory? Well, that's what a mind does. So unlike the body saying my mind seems to be a lot more accurate. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? Here's the final twist. Even our ownership of the mind isn't 100%. There are these moments when it just goes completely off the rails, totally beyond our command. I'm talking about dreams, where you're basically just an actor in a movie you didn't write, or mistakes, when your brain does something you absolutely did not want it to do. And then there's just nonsense. You know, those random weird thoughts that pop into your head from absolutely nowhere. Which leaves us right here with this one last huge question. If we don't truly own our bodies, and we don't even have total control over our own minds, then what part of us is actually us? What is left of you? And that takes us all the way back to the beginning, doesn't it? It makes you wonder if that essential self is something else entirely. Definitely something to think about.